Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Xend Finance DeFi Hackathon 2021. I'm very excited to introduce a panel today of media from around the blockchain crypto space. Today, we'll be joined by Greg Gotsis of BSC News and Solana News, as well as Daniel Abel of Nigerian Tribune and Altcoin Buzz. Both of them are very established and have been in the industry for a bit of time. And I'll give you a brief background of BSC News. BSC News, of course, Xend Finance was the first to build on Binance Smart Chain out of Africa, and BSC News was one of the first to also cover us. And since then, they've had a phenomenal trajectory in terms of growth. I believe when you covered us, maybe you had 30, 40,000 Twitter followers. Now you're at like 250,000, which was amazing to see. So seeing that kind of growth has been amazing. So I'm very excited to ask you how you got there, how everything is going, as well as Solana News. I knew that's a pretty recent venture as well. Daniel Abel, of course, with Nigerian Tribune. Daniel, feel free to turn on your camera if you'd like. Daniel Abel of Nigerian Tribune is a senior reporter there. Nigerian Tribune, of course, is the oldest news establishment in Nigeria. So that's very exciting to kind of get that perspective of traditional news. And then also he's a reporter for Altcoin Buzz. So he knows about the space in blockchain and cryptocurrency. So Daniel, thank you very much for joining us as well. If you are ready right now, Daniel, we can have you go first. And Daniel, essentially both the reporters will give us a sense of how they cover the African crypto scene, the challenges that they see, the future of Africa and blockchain and crypto, as well as tips for if you're an entrepreneur or developer on how to get press coverage with them, what interests them the most. And then after that, we'll have a chat, a discussion between the three of us. And then we'll go to the top 5 questions in the YouTube stream. Of course, if we ask your question, you will be given $20 as a prize. So make sure you ask some good questions, listen up, and we'll start with Daniel before we go to Greg. So Daniel, are you ready? Daniel may have some, okay. So he's there. Daniel, are you good to go?
Yeah, I'm good to go. Hi, everyone.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So my name is Daniel Abel. I'm a senior reporter with Nigerian Tribune and also a writer with Altcoin Buzz. So basically, the crypto space in Nigeria and Africa as a whole has recently received a boom because of more attention. More people are coming into the market space, and the media exactly is playing a very important role in this aspect. Africa now, many people are not seeing Africa as a place where you can invest, and we have many projects coming up in the DeFi space. That's from Africa descent, and a lot more coming up with more involvement in different areas. And we're seeing development coming out, digital platforms coming out from Africa, Xend Finance, which is one of them. So mostly, as this project is coming up, more coverage will be needed, and more participants, or to try to get the people to know more about them. So that's the main thing about the media right now, is getting the people to understand, because Africa is not, I won't put it at the top of the map as other continents, because then we have people here who are still questioning crypto, in fact, instead of not the blockchain technology. They're still questioning it, if they can trust it, and if it is reliable. So basically, what we, the media here, is trying to do, we're trying to explain and make sure we provide more understanding to know why decentralized finance and the blockchain space and cryptocurrency is actually going to favor the general public than the fiat currency they're used to. So basically, we're trying to bring these new platforms closer to the people so that they can realize that it will benefit them more than the standard or the regular ones, regular platform they are used to. So recently, especially even in the area of NFT, all this DeFi platforms, Nigeria in particular, and the whole African space have been receiving a lot of new addition, which have definitely which I would say is actually calling for attention in the space. Basically, what the media role in this growing frontier is what I would like to speak on today, and why it's something that is worth looking forward to, and how this platform coming up can actually tap into it and get their platform or get their project to the people easily. So mainly the blockchain space right now, it's at a very important phase, and it is actually crucial to have the sorry, are you still with me?
Yep, we got you. You're good.
Okay, thank you. So I'll keep going. So the blockchain space right now, the crypto space is and we partnership with the media is actually what I believe can actually take it to the next stage. And this partnership will come in area of how to get the media platforms to carry them along. That's the main thing. You incorporate them into your project, and through this they'll be able to publicize, and they'll be able to carry. I'm really sorry, I'm having a little difficulty with my slides. So yes, okay. So I'll keep. So the main thing about development and the crypto space now is making sure your platform is actually very unique, and with that you'll be able to stand out, and you'll be able to catch attention of the media. I'm sorry, Kelvin, I would like if you could take over from here. I'm having difficulty with my presentation here, so I'll let you know when I can take over.
Okay, no problem. So, this is actually an issue that actually does arise a lot in, of course, Africa and Nigeria as well, because I know Wi-Fi connection is sometimes very difficult to come by. I mean, we have a lot of issues with obviously our team that's based in Africa. So Daniel will come back and join with us. I don't know if Greg, if you are ready to go, but it would be great to, you can have a few minutes to prepare yourself. But yeah, so once again, that's Daniel Abel from the Nigerian Tribune and Altcoin Buzz, just kind of giving us a perspective, his perspective from the African blockchain crypto scene, as well as what he looks for in coverage. But here we go. We have Greg Gotsis. He's ready to present his slides, and I'll let him take over from here.
Awesome. Yeah. And can you see my screen on there, Kevin?
Yes.
Awesome. I just want to first start off, and Daniel's presentation was super insightful. I actually learned kind of a lot about what was going on. Something that completely crossed my mind, and it is even like a huge focus for us, is just really making this content as consumable as possible, breaking it down and making it available for the beginner users. We're in crypto all day, all the time, so it's very easy to get lost in the jargon. And I just kind of want to reiterate on that point, that is the first step in getting users to your platform, is making these things simple and really being friendly for the beginner. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin gave a brief introduction on myself in the beginning, and I'm the co-founder and editor-in-chief of one of the fastest growing media networks in decentralized finance. We started up really just about a year ago, and we've seen explosive growth right alongside of Binance Smart Chain. And yeah, as Kevin mentioned, we have had numerous amounts of coverage on Xend Finance. I actually jumped on a live stream with Hugo, the CEO, and that was an amazing conversation as well. And without further ado, I kind of just put together some slides here touching on some basic growth or general crypto growth that's going on in Africa. And then more so up my alley is what's going on with decentralized finance, building on Binance Smart Chain, and specifically in Africa. So just to start things off, I really like what's going on with this hackathon. It's setting an amazing stage for the future of crypto and DeFi inside of Africa. And something even Daniel was mentioning was just the explosion of cryptocurrencies among Africans in the past year or so. I found this report by Coinmetrics that was published in September, and there was 1,200% year over year growth in Africa's crypto market, which is massive. And something Daniel did point out here is while crypto markets in Nigeria, Africa aren't necessarily the largest, they are extremely exciting. They have a ton of bang for their buck in the sense that the amount of actual people using these services surpasses a lot of other larger crypto markets. So while the volume may not be all there, you can definitely see tons of people and users adopting these platforms and using them in real world scenarios. A lot of what I'm seeing and what I've heard from journalists here working at BSC News, which kind of are to thank for us being on this event. They do an amazing job. Utulu and Ahamdi, do an amazing job of staying up to date, and they have done the majority of reporting on Xend Finance and actually brought it to my attention. So very thankful for them. But something they kind of pointed out to me is the fact of using these peer-to-peer systems kind of replaces and fixes a lot of struggles they're having with traditional banking that isn't quite available to everyone. Another huge thing that is going on as well is holding stable coins and crypto assets is an amazing way of having sort of an inflation hedge. You're holding assets that are necessarily a little bit more strong, something like the dollar, while it still has fluctuations, it doesn't experience nearly what something like the Naira or other emerging market currencies are experiencing. So that's another massive upside there. And I don't want to spend too long on this slide because this isn't particularly my expertise. This is more broad blockchain and what's going on in crypto. What is more sort of up my alley is decentralized finance, what's being built on the Binance Smart Chain, and in particular, more of these peer-to-smart contract platforms. So there is a ton going on, and I think Binance Smart Chain is specifically a great place to start here. The reason being is the massive ecosystem support that Binance is offering, not only for Africa, but for the ecosystem as a whole. Binance has already laid down an amazing foundation. They did a masterclass event where I think 1,000 people from Africa were able to get into an 8-week long course. And this was not just on crypto and trading. This went into developing and learning about DeFi and the Binance Smart Chain. And I think that was incredibly massive in building this framework and setting up Africa for success with digital assets, DeFi, and cryptocurrencies. Another thing that went on was the Decentralized Africa Hackathon. And this is just another one of those events looking to bootstrap growth and further the growth of DeFi in Africa. And then most notably, I think what's something very important to touch on is what Xend Finance is building in decentralized finance and the services they're offering. For those of you who aren't too familiar with what Xend Finance is building, they're pretty much looking to build a one-stop shop, a almost DeFi brokerage suite of products that will allow users to access a bunch of financial services that they may not necessarily have access for. So this isn't, or this is across a broad spectrum, right? Maybe someone just wants to hold something like a USDT stablecoin so they can save their funds. Xend Finance helps with this, allows users to earn an interest rate here. And I think that's incredibly important. Being able to store your assets, not worrying about the uphill battle of inflation, but actually earning against some of your assets. Also, these layers are just getting further. I know Xend Finance is looking to release some new features here regarding a brand new UI and pretty much just bring their platform together, offer things not only across one chain, but multiple chains. And it goes back to sort of what Daniel and I were touching on, the sense of breaking these things down and making them intuitive and seamless to use for the user, in the sense that the user doesn't necessarily want to come and fight with all this code. They want to be able to use a platform that works and allows them to access these financial services that they don't necessarily have access to currently. The really nice part about all of this is it is built on the blockchain and it's decentralized, meaning that all of these transactions are public and available records. And it's just a lot more transparent of a system overall, and really provides a nice way for peer-to-peer transactions, saving, and then even accessing services like lending and borrowing. To pivot a little bit, another sort of bigger trend I see brewing up as well, just across Binance Smart Chain, and I think can become particularly more relevant in Africa, is the kind of proliferation or the beginning of GameFi. And what GameFi is really just combining a lot of these decentralized finance services, things like staking, lending and borrowing, providing your assets and earning interest into gaming. And this is really an amazing intersection of technology here, because a lot of gamers already know how to use this technology, maneuver around computers. And so adding crypto isn't too big of a second layer. And this is really where I think we see a lot of beginner users get onboarded into crypto. And with that, I mean, this isn't only going on just in Africa, but we're seeing this across a bunch of emerging markets where GameFi is popping up all over the place, because these rewards are just, they make sense for a lot of users to play these games currently. And in a lot of places, it provides competitive wages to full-time jobs if users actually know what they're doing. I myself have been diving into GameFi a bit as well, and it's pretty interesting. It's definitely got some improvements it needs, and it's a little bit rough around the edges, but overall it's definitely a growing sector of DeFi that is extremely user friendly. But I think for the purpose of providing services and looking to kind of aid the economy of Africa and Nigeria, um, these DeFi products are amazing for offering interest rates, allowing users to lend and borrow. But this is also not to say that, of course, this comes with risk as well. There is smart contract risk behind every single one of these platforms. And the trick here is you really, at the end of the day, you can't invest what you're not willing to lose, but there's certain levels of risk. There's a difference between holding a stable coin like USDC or USDT versus maybe holding Bitcoin or an altcoin. And so just understanding those layers of risk and picking what suits you. Maybe you don't even want to deposit your cryptocurrencies into a smart contract because that poses too much risk for your sort of situation. Or you can end up providing the liquidity or the crypto to the smart contract. And it all just depends on what your specific situation is, the risk appetite, but there's solutions for everyone inside of crypto. And it just makes these services a lot easier to access. So that's kind of the main points I wanted to hit on there. And now I'm going to jump over to a little bit more of what we're doing at BSC News, Solana News, and our umbrella company, DeFi Direct. So the idea here is that, just to take a step back, actually, Binance Smart Chain News, we've serviced over 1 million users in the past year. And so this is just ever growing. And this is just a testament to how much DeFi and crypto is growing. Our success is 100% attributed to growth of decentralized finance and the Binance Smart Chain. And so it's just incredible seeing the growth and how fast the space is moving. We've also seen a steady growth of our audience in Africa as well. So most notably, we have a fair share of Nigerian users who have been using the website, and that's just been amazing to see that crypto doesn't have borders and it's able to kind of help out whoever needs these services. And furthermore, what we are looking to do at DeFi Direct as a whole is focus on the multi-chain future. So the way decentralized finance works is there's a ton of different networks, and there's not necessarily one right answer. It's really sort of all of these different networks are catering to certain users and use cases. So there's multiple, right? Just to name a few, we have Avalanche, which has just popped up and getting a ton of hype. Phantom, BSC News, Solana, Ethereum, of course, Terra, and the list kind of just goes on. So we think it's incredibly important on focusing on a multi-chain future and looking to capture all of that. And we've noticed that Xend Finance is doing the same. I think they recently deployed on Polygon for sure, and maybe even Hiko. So this is sort of a trend that's going on across the entire space. And so that's what we're doing at DeFi Direct and BSC News to steer this back towards any people who are building or in the crypto space, projects specifically. What we look for in media is, at the end of the day, media follows the users, right? So you have to get users is one big thing. And as Daniel was saying, is building unique products does this entirely. If you build unique products and you are constantly pushing out updates, the users will come and the media will come as well. And that's kind of the golden way to get this coverage. We, for example, with Xend Finance, we just noticed what they were building and how they were building it, seeing the constant updates. It wasn't just a one-off release they put out. It was constant. Every time, every week, every other week, we'd come back and it's like, oh, check out what Xend built. So this was like a prime example of how we picked up coverage on Xend Finance. And then another way is just making your project ready, available, the documents easy to access, having things like GitHub set up, white papers set up, where all of this information is readily accessible, and also making your team readily available. A lot of things we do is we need to get in contact with your team, maybe via Telegram, Twitter, and a lot of projects, they lag on these sort of things. They might not have someone checking these social media accounts. So it's a little bit difficult to get the coverage on projects when we don't have the proper contacts and the network standing. So just to summarize that up, the main thing is building a good product is going to be the number one way, but there's little things you can do in between, whether it's setting up proper documentation, being readily available, having all forms of communication open, whether it's an email, Telegram, Twitter. And yeah, at the end of the day, it just comes down to pushing out updates and building something unique. Other than that, this kind of wraps up my presentation. I do want to say Africa is seeing an explosion in cryptocurrency. And again, it may not be necessarily the volume, but the amount of adoption that we're seeing is more important. And just the fact that the users, and more particularly retail users, are finding solutions to these issues they're having with traditional finance is massive, especially considering the growth crypto has continued to see in the trajectory it's on. So with that being said, I just want to thank Kevin for having me on. Of course, we're going to open this up to a Q&A, and Daniel may even be back to finish up some of his presentation. Not quite sure though. So Kevin, you can take it back away from here.
Greg, thank you for that presentation. It was great. Once again, if you have questions for Greg, leave them on the YouTube stream comments, and we will ask the top 5 questions at the end of the presentation. But that will be towards the end of the hour, and we still have about 30 more minutes to go. But Greg, thank you for the kind words on Xend Finance. Of course, one thing that we're very proud of is that we are constantly releasing product. I know there's a lot of projects out there who announce meaningless partnerships all the time, but aren't actually releasing any kind of any products that you can actually use. So one thing that we've been very proud of is that we've put our head down and kind of constantly released, we have over 20 developers working with us right now. So we are very proud of that fact. But also congratulations on all the growth that you've seen. It's really great to see, and just kind of seeing what DeFi Direct is going to mean in the future. I mean, it's very exciting.
Yeah, and definitely it's just a quick tangent here. Like I even have a list here in some of my speaking notes of just some of the things you guys have put out. And it's just like you have the X Vault coming, the auto yield aggregator, multiple mobile apps, and just tons of stuff, right? You have this idea of the layer 2 D app coming out. And these are just to name a few. Like I have an entire laundry list here of updates, which is exactly what DeFi projects need to be doing, having these constant releases coming out and innovating on their products.
Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. That's so good. Daniel's back with us. Daniel, how is your connection? Are you ready to go?
Yeah, I think it's much more better now.
Okay, sounds good. So I will let you take over, and you can kind of start off where you wanted to, or if you wanted to start back over, up to you. And let me know when you are finished, and we will start doing the Q&A.
Okay, cool. Since the network actually is always fluctuating, so I'll just get right to it and hope we can I can say one or two things before it's finished. So I'll be agreeing with what Greg said. The Africa space has actually crypto space have actually boomed, and I'll just be putting out word to other DeFi projects that also intend to come into the Africa space. The main thing about this area or this continent is that the fact that it is still fresh, or let's say there's a lot of area you can invest in. Vast area, like we have the population, we have people that are interested, people with the financial capability to help this DeFi project actually grow in Africa. So the main thing is where there is issue is integrating them, making sure they understand what they're investing to. Because I don't believe there's anybody that wants to invest in a project they don't understand. And that's where most individuals in Africa actually have issue with understanding the project and deciding, okay, it's worth the time and wanting to participate. So any DeFi projects that want to enter the African space, my main recommendation would be for them to ensure they are very transparent and they carry the people along easily. They carry them along with easy words that they can understand. They don't leave them on many of the blockchain terms or terminology they're not used to. So once they feel they're incorporated, once they feel they understand it, definitely that will be the next phase. You see more people will come. The print area is also another area where like people still read paper in this aspect of the world. So if you carry them along also, and the media is also able to break it down to their understanding, then DeFi project will be able to get more coverage. They'll be able to get to more people, and they'll be able to put their projects out with more participation from the area. So why African space right now is booming, I'll actually encourage more DeFi platforms to actually look to establishing their platforms here, because many people with the rate of the African currency, the way it is falling every, like Nigerian currency as well, the way it's falling every day against the US dollars, many people are actually looking for areas or other places to invest in. So if we're able to explain and let them know that DeFi is actually decentralized finance, is actually a way to help them or push their project upward, it will be able to help them understand. It will be able to help them understand and get them to invest in these projects, and this will also help the African blockchain space, even the blockchain space as a whole. So on that, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you very much.
Daniel, thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation. It's good to hear. So right now, I'd suggest that us three, we can just have a little bit of a conversation for a bit before we get the questions from the viewers and the streamers. But I'm curious as to how you got into journalism in the crypto space. What was the first thing? When did you first get into blockchain crypto, and what was it about it that interests you?
Okay, that's I actually studied journalism. I have a bachelor's degree in journalism. So, but the crypto space came. My first interest in digital currency was that should be in 2016. So I took time. I took time to want to understand. Like then, I sat down to understand the origin of Bitcoin and see how this could actually benefit the space. It was not as common as it is now, because now everybody is actually familiar with terms like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins. But then after studying it, I felt it was intriguing. Like then I wanted to know. So it was that drive that actually pushed me. Then I started to understand. I started to research into other digital assets, and in time I actually grew interest. Currently, like I'm actually educating secondary school students in Nigeria on blockchain technology, on how decentralized finance can assist financial flow in Nigeria. For now, I'm sticking to Nigeria before and to see how the response is before taking it more to probably West Africa or other African countries. But then I've understood that when you teach the young ones and they are understanding decentralized finance and blockchain technology from their little age. These are people in junior secondary school and senior secondary school. You see, they are actually interested and they want to know more. And with that interest, they are sharing with friends. And with that again, blockchain technology and decentralized finance is actually growing. It's actually growing in Nigeria, and it's actually going among people, because when they ask questions, other people are actually interested, and it keeps going that way and it keeps growing. So since I got into crypto in 2016 and I started working with Altcoin Buzz, there's been no reason to regret that decision. Until now, I'm more focused on getting more people to adopt and see the way digital currency and blockchain and decentralized finance can actually benefit them.
Yeah, no, that's great. How about you, Greg?
Yeah, so I'm fairly new to the crypto space as a whole. I did dabble a little bit in 2017, 2018, but it wasn't really, I was pretty young at the time. I was like 16 or 17 in 2017, 2018. So it was a lot more just watching what was going on and being upset with myself. I was like, why is this Litecoin trading at $20 and now it's trading at 50? Months later, like, what have I been doing trying to mess around with other things? So I knew what crypto was, and I just always had sort of like an inclination towards financial markets. Traditional equities was kind of where I was spending a lot of my time. And when COVID hit, I just had a lot more free time and really just started digging into things, and just came about the thesis of cycles and everything. And I was like, oh wait, this really seems like it's picking up, it's happening again. Let me start spending time. And that's when I like stumbled across DeFi in August. So I started using these Ethereum protocols, learning about things like Uniswap, Compound, Aave, Cream Finance, and really just got my ear to the ground in DeFi. And that's where I just hit the ground running and have really found like the most success in this space. And from there, I ended up getting destroyed on Ethereum because it wasn't very user friendly. And I think this is like something that Daniel's trying to get at as well. Like, this space is extremely volatile. There's certain aspects of this space where someone who's looking to put their savings in and actually save a chunk of money, there's very volatile places where you can see some of these altcoins like move tons of percentages. But that doesn't take away from the fact that there are other use cases, such as just holding things such like USDT and USDC can provide a really good way to get exposure to a stronger currency like the dollar. But to get back on track there, I didn't have the most success right when I started out on Ethereum. And then I found the Binance Smart Chain and started understanding a lot more of the mechanics that were going on under the hood of these projects, and also realized that no one was reporting on DeFi. I was on Twitter finding all of these releases myself, just seeing it come from the horse's mouth. I didn't necessarily have any journalism experience. I will say I was blessed. I've grown up in California and had like amazing resources to education. And I just have learned journalism over the past year, reached out to some resources, actual journalists, and kind of got advisors on board. And since then, just been running with journalism and having an amazing time documenting the space of DeFi and really how everything is growing. And just like the entire space, like this last year has been a blitz of just innovation going on in the space. So that's kind of how I've gotten started. And it's also a testament how a lot of these things are very new. It just takes a little bit of time to learn it and actually understand what's going on to get into the space. But once you're in, it's pretty rewarding.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I actually do have a background in journalism. I'm from California as well. I went to college down in UC San Diego, and from there I was a small town television reporter. I went to Idaho, went to Redding, Chico, then I went to Columbus, Ohio. So seeing what you've done with BSC News in such a short amount of time is phenomenal. I mean, the growth that you've seen, does it surprise you when you look back and you're like, I can't believe that we're growing at such a clip, or does it not surprise you? I mean, did you expect this all along? I mean, how did you get to now having this brand, this entire brand and this suite of website news sites?
Yeah, and it really started as something that was a fun way to spend my time that I was researching anyway. I was spending hours on these protocols, and I just kind of got thrown into this Telegram group right when I started getting involved in the space. And like the short answer is I never expected it to be this big, but there was a certain kind of moment where I was like, okay, this is an incredible industry, what's going on. And we're solving an issue, kind of bridging this information asymmetry there was. And that's when it really turned. I still remember like one of the bigger turning points is when we crossed 10,000 followers. I was still living with my parents at the time. And that was when I was like, okay, people are actually consuming our content. I didn't think it would build from there. And like, that was only the beginning. Since then, it's been exponential. I think another thing to state though, is while it wasn't really expected at the time, looking back in hindsight, of course, how everything aligned with the cycles and the hype of the market definitely played a massive role. And who knows how long the markets are going to keep running this hot. I mean, it looks like we're still in the mid to near term future. Like everything is looking great for the space, but there will be bumps and lulls. It just ended up almost right place, right time, building kind of at the proliferation of DeFi, accelerated all of like, not even just BSC News' success, but everyone in the ecosystem's success. So that's been massive.
Yeah, no, that's really great to see. So Daniel, I wanted to ask you because I know that Nigeria Tribune is one of the most is the oldest news outlet in Nigeria, as well as being a print outlet. So can I ask, how is it when you want to introduce, and a little bit of background is Nigerian Tribune did a feature story about our CEO Ugo, and it was very exciting, obviously, because most of the time when we've done interviews, it's been to TechCrunch or CoinDesk or some of these outlets that are strictly online. But how has it been working for a traditional news outlet and covering the blockchain crypto space? I mean, do you have to fight with your editor sometime on whether this story can make it on? And also, how open are they to telling a crypto blockchain story? Because I know that there are some government regulations regarding cryptocurrency. Daniel, your microphone, I think, is on mute.
Yeah, thank you, Kevin. That's the issue with traditional news house. Nigerian Tribune is over 75 years now. So when you come to them with blockchain news, and it's actually a challenge I'm still currently facing, because many times they question it, they are not used to it. And so when I come to my editor, I want to pursue this story in blockchain, I want to do this. He's like, first of all, who are your readers? Do you have readers? Do you have people that are interested in this content? So first thing before I do a story, I have to convince my editor that, okay, there are people that are actually interested in blockchain. There are people interested in decentralized finance. There are people interested in cryptocurrency. Then he started, okay, then cryptocurrency. He said this, he said another medium of, so they are old, I won't say they are old, but they are, you understand what I'm trying to say? They are just, they're not used to the new, so they question those kind of, those move or those decisions to do a project on blockchain or on decentralized finance or on cryptocurrency. But currently, there are one thing like the blockchain space or the cryptocurrency space in general has caught many people attention. So it's getting easier to do a project or to write a feature story on cryptocurrency. When I was to do the interview with Xend Finance CEO, after speaking to them about it, they were actually interested because they felt it's a new frontier, and many people are interested. Many people are looking towards, like, many people want information in that area. So it's actually getting easier now, covering cryptocurrency, covering blockchain technology in traditional news house, and more people are actually interested because when an establishment like Nigerian Tribune is pushing out content on decentralized finance, when they're pushing out content on digital currency, now more people are actually interested to see, okay, what exactly are they talking about? And especially more older folks, because I was looking at a survey and noticed that most people interested in decentralized finance or interested in blockchain are actually under 40s. So the older folks are actually now where that's the print is able to get to them more than online media platforms. So this is actually another area I'm looking to developing, trying to get more blockchain technology and win more of the older folks to actually get their attention and get their interest in looking into decentralized finance as a way of also regulate investing and as a way of adopting blockchain technology and digital currency. So why it was a struggle when I started, right now things are actually warming up, and now I even receive people who are more interested, or startup projects who send mails and they're interested, like they like to be featured. They would like to get their project out also on Coins. And so, and even the older folks, the editors, they're actually more interested in, they're actually more warmed up to the idea of giving out pages for blockchain news and decentralized finance. So things are actually looking up, and the adoption rate and the boost in the whole continent right now is making it a good time to be on a good time to be supporting blockchain. Thank you.
No, that's good to hear. So that segues real quick into, let me ask you, before we start the Q&A, I want to ask you both. So what are some tips for entrepreneurs out there to get your attention on what a good story is, or to pique your interest, to open their email to say, hey, you know, this might be an interesting company to cover? What are some tips for them?
Okay, I'd like to go first. So the main thing I would say to get attention of the media, or to get my attention in particular, is uniqueness. Because while the space is actually booming, on average, I get up to 10 emails a day, ask for projects. But when you check them, you see most of them, sometimes it might be the same thing. Maybe it's an NFT project. Then usually when it's unique and it's caught your attention and it's a standard project from the rest that you've been getting, then you won't have a choice, but you will actually like to post or post or write a write-up on that profile. So one thing I would just like to say is, if you're trying to get the attention of the media, the best way to go about it is to make your project unique, or make it stand out, something catchy that you will like. Okay, the media will actually like to push or like to feed to their readers, to the content, because main thing is giving is still at the end is for the media is getting content out to your readers. So when you see you see a protocol, you get an email from a protocol and you check it and you see it's actually unique and standard, you actually be interested in giving it and pushing out to your readers to read. So actually my advice to DeFi projects would be to make sure their projects are actually unique and has something catchy or something that the readers will actually be interested in. Thank you.
Yeah,
Right.
and I think Daniel hit that right on the head of the nail there, because what really matters is the project unique? Does it have some sort of sustainability that it's worthwhile reporting? I can guarantee when Daniel sees the 8th dog coin, there's no way he's going on and covering that story. But if you see something unique where there's a product that is super simple, it's explained well for the beginner, and isn't just another copy paste of another project, that's really what we're looking for. Are you building something innovative, kind of stepping into the space, doing something different, and not only different, but providing a service to a certain amount or to a specific amount of users? And I think that's what it comes down to for kind of getting a good written story on you that's going to get media attention.
Thank you for that insight. So let's go into the Q&A. The first question comes from a YouTube username of SEM, C-E-M. What are the ways to build a strong community, like Shibarmy, for example? I'm actually not sure what Shibarmy is. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, but what are the ways to build a strong community?
Yeah, I'll jump in here just because that might be a little more up my alley. I'm not 100% what Shibarmy is either, but it just sounds like another dog token, kind of going against what I was saying. But in the sense of, I know what you're talking about, building a community where everyone is excited for the project. I think what these projects do is they at least make what they're doing very simple. They try to avoid a lot of the complex DeFi mechanisms like staking and liquidity positions. But overall, I would say building a strong community is more so doing or making it easy for the users. So seeing things like having hackathons, having things where the projects are also providing documentation for the community. It's not just here, look, figure this out, but having actual resources, and then just being active on socials. You're never going to grow a community without really getting in there and engaging with the users, no matter what the problem is. If someone is having issues logging into their MetaMask, that's what builds a community and really proliferates those things, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's very true. In fact, one thing I remember, we had a news outlet who wrote about us, and they put the post out on their Twitter, but they didn't tag us. And I looked at their other Twitter, and they didn't tag any of the companies or any people. And I just sent a simple email to them, and I said, hey, if you tag us, it's really good, because then it makes it much easier for me to share this. And just doing that just exposes you to different audience. Not every time will somebody share something, but at the same time, it's very reciprocal. They share, you share. It actually works out well, and it increases engagement. Daniel, I don't know if you had anything you wanted to add.
Yeah, I do agree with Greg. To build a functional or a very active community, you keep active. You try to, because one thing I know is, when you put out a project, you get people who are involved. So, but when you stay inactive for a while, you notice people start. But when you start leaving, or another project will catch their attention. So the best thing is make sure your community, even if you're starting with 10 active users, you go from the 10. When so far your community is active and you keep dishing up things every time, in time you notice it keeps going. But when you post out, maybe in a month you post, you have maybe a hackathon or something that you are actively doing in the month and nothing else, it's not going to, you keep losing interest of your community. But just keep active and have projects that are user friendly. And also, as I keep emphasizing, that easy to understand projects. That way, your community will keep going. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. So okay. So I know we have a hard stop in about 5 more minutes. So we'll try to be brief on these questions. But Question 2 from YouTube name of INI. What are the major ways to engage a community as in terms of initial adoption before product launch? And I'll repeat that question again. What are the major ways to engage a community as in terms of initial adoption before product launch?
Yeah, and I might be repeating myself, and I'll answer this from both sides. If you're talking about from the side of the project, I would say it just comes down to providing the proper documentation. I see a lot of things where projects will wait to do this, but I personally, if I'm going and looking at a project and I can't find any tokenomics, even just about the team, any of these basic things, that's going to be really hard to have faith in a product. So I think building out sound documentation. And then if you're coming from the other side of the user, just engaging in the community, talking to the developers, to the team, that's a great way to get involved in the space. Just to keep that one a bit brief.
Thank you very much. To add to what Greg has said, just make sure your project or your protocol is actually transparent. Once it's transparent, you'll notice people will actually be interested. Make sure it's transparent. Explain it. Don't use difficult terminologies. Explain it well to people, and I assure you, it will be off to the right start. The major key to any new project is always transparency, because with that you'll be able to develop trust for anybody who wants to participate, or anybody who wants to invest, or anybody who wants to join. So once it's transparent, they'll be able to join. Then with that, just build on that. Then get the media, incorporate them, carry them along, and you see the project will actually move forward. Thank you.
Well, thank you. So question number 3 is, at the time, I don't think we have a username, but we will find the username. What's your advice to newbies looking to participate in the DeFi space? Which is a little bit probably more technical, but maybe some company you've covered, or I don't know if this is up your wheelhouse, but maybe you had some advice. Okay.
This is great for me. To participate in the DeFi space, I would just start by getting involved with the sources. The easiest one is going to be Twitter and Telegram. Just getting on those platforms, seeing what projects are putting out the releases, and then just learning. Don't be scared to take baby steps when you're learning. I jumped right into Ethereum head first. I saw all this hype going on, and next thing I knew, a lot of the tokens I was in were down 60-70%. So there is a bit of a learning curve. Just make sure you're jumping in, take like slow steps, and understand what you're investing in. If all you know at the moment is how a stable coin works, maybe stick to that. And when you're venturing out into some of these more risky or other places of DeFi, don't risk more than you can lose, even if it seems like a small amount. At some of these high risk protocols, a small amount can go a lot further than you've ever expected. And it's not worth it to risk and lose something that you're not willing to or unable to. So I think the main thing is just getting involved in these Twitter and Telegram communities. Also, there's tons of good information on YouTube, just how to get started, outlining a lot of the technical jargon and terms. So just looking those up as well.
Yeah, no, something to add on with there. I got involved in cryptocurrency in 2017, and then, that was great, right? And then 2018 hit. But, one sound strategy is they say that you should never, invest more than 10% of your portfolio. Nowadays things have changed a little bit, but at the time, because it was only 10% of my portfolio, I didn't sweat it too much when 2018 hit. But it was definitely nice when 2020 happened, because I was like, oh, hey, I still have my crypto, and it's nice to see how everything's changed. But, definitely be comfortable with what you have when you're invested, and be sure you're okay with losing it just in case. But Daniel, did you have anything to add on getting involved with DeFi for noobs?
Yes. I would just like to say you should do proper research. That's one thing. Don't invest, don't get greedy. Because that happened to me. I invested a while. I think that was in 2017 as well. Then with what I gained, I felt like, wow, I could gain more. Then I invested more, and I lost a lot. So one thing I would say is research the project you're going to be investing. Proper research. As Greg already mentioned, Twitter right now is buzzing. Their Telegram group, they are good on Discord also, where you can get information. So make sure you do proper research before you invest, and don't invest more than you're ready to lose. That's always I was telling a friend the other day, whatever you know is going to hurt you if you lose it, don't invest it. Just be comfortable until you're very familiar with the system. Take baby steps. Don't jump to the beginning. Just take baby steps, and in time you'll get very comfortable and you understand the whole system. So that's what I would say. Proper research is what you need as a newbie in the crypto space. Then you'll grow.
Yes, thank you very much, everyone. I want to thank Greg Gotsis with BSC News and Solana News. And I want to thank Daniel Abel of Nigerian Tribune, as well as Altcoin Buzz. This has been very informative, and I appreciate all the user questions. I want to tease one thing tomorrow. Tomorrow we have a panel session called How to Pitch Investors and Fundraise for Your Crypto Project. That is actually a workshop presented by the MapleBlock CEO, Vijay Garg. And he has joined us before for a panel, so this will be very informative. But once again, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Daniel, for joining us. And can't wait to talk to you guys soon about the future of DeFi. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah,
and we
awesome.
will see you tomorrow. Yes. Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me. Yep.